It was the 2006. We had got an agent in Verona that was distributing our wines. It was not just an agent because the father was our agent and the son became our agent in Verona too. So it was a family of agent who was representing Pieropan in Verona, and he was also distributing Krug in Verona. And he was asking us, since we bought the land in Valpolicella, to make a rosé, a sparkling rosé. Because unfortunately he passed very in advance, he had got a problem with the heart, and then immediately we lost him. My brother Dario decided to dedicate this sparkling rosé to him.
Welcome to this special Clubhouse session of the Italian Wine Podcast. Listen in as members of the Italian wine community engage in fascinating conversations about contemporary wine topics. If you enjoyed the show, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. And remember to subscribe and rate the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your pods.
Hi everyone, this is Beatrice welcoming you to the Italian Wine Clubhouse Ambassadors Corner, one of the top-ranked shows on Italian Wine Podcast. Here, our ambassadors get the mic to interview their favorite producers with total freedom. And if you miss it live, no worries, it's recorded and dropped later on the Italian Wine Podcast. Today's guest host is Ekaterina Vislinskaya. Ekaterina is from Yekaterinburg, Russia. She is a certified wine sommelier and a wine blogger. She holds WSET Level 3 qualification and is an accredited Italian wine ambassador. She was also a guest blogger for Italian Wine Podcast and a wine trotter. Her passion is Italian wines and exploring and sharing insights into wine tourism and viticulture. Today, she's going to interview Andrea Pieropan from Pieropan Winery in Soave. So, Ekaterina, Andrea, how are you doing, guys?
Thank you very much. I'm very well. I'm ready.
I'm ready, me too. Thank you so much.
Perfect, guys. Ekaterina, are you ready to continue to interview Andrea? Because it's the second part to this one, isn't it?
Hello, guys. Hello, Beatrice. Hello, Andrea. Hello, all our listeners. Happy to say again that this evening in our clubhouse, we have the agronomist and expert manager of the Pieropan Winery, Andrea Pieropan. Andrea, welcome to the clubhouse, and thank you very much for finding time for the second part. And let's start. The first and easy first question to start. Andrea, you mentioned in the first part that you and your brother Dario are very different personality-wise. And that is the reason why you two work so well together as the agronomist and the winemaker. Andrea, so what exactly is the difference?
First of all, I want to make quite our listener that this will be not longer as the Grey's Anatomy movie. Okay, so this will be the second part, but probably the last one of the interview. There will be not too many section about this interview. Me and my brother Dario, we have different characters. Dario is quieter and has a very great passion about winemaking. I'm definitely much more involved in the agronomist part. I like more the agricultural, and probably comparing Dario, I'm a little bit more determined. So he is more care and more passion in the winemaking section. We complain each other because we are very different.
Okay, that's great to hear. Okay, let's start and let's dive into the Soave wine zone. Andrea, could you please tell us about the Soave Classica wine zone where the Pieropan Winery is located? How is Soave Classica doing? Its achievements, challenges, and present-day life, including 33 Soave Cru or UGA. What are they in terms of Soave wine zone? What was the idea behind these crews? How many of them are historical, and so on? Could you please tell us more?
Pieropan estate is located in the west side of the Classico area of Soave because, as you know, Classico is separated by two villages, Monteforte d'Alpone and Soave. We are in Soave, so we are in the west part of the Classico area of Soave. We have several vineyards spread in the classical area of Soave, which are distributed in different UGA. There are 33 UGA, in my opinion, are too many. There should be at least enough, probably 20 UGA. Pieropan Zonazione started much before than UGA project arrived, because UGA project arrived not over than 10-15 years ago. But if you think that Calvarino La Rocca as a single vineyard born across 50 years ago, this means that was much more in advance comparing the Zonazione job done in Soave. What I want to say, yes, we have several vineyards in different UGA. We have in Foscarino, we have in Pigno, we have in Tenda, we have in Colombara, we have in Sengialta, which are all different UGA. We don't use them in the label right now because we produce 3 whites. One is Soave Classico, which is a blend of more vineyards, so we couldn't use a specific UGA. And the other are Calvarino and La Rocca, which are, yes, inside an UGA, but the name of Calvarino La Rocca are so strong that are much stronger than any UGA, so it has no sense to mention the UGA because it will be less important than the Calvarino and La Rocca name. So technically, UGA, in my opinion, is a content which keep inside potentially single vineyard. The job done from my father switched directly into the single vineyard name instead of using the UGA. In terms of opportunity, I think that Soave Classico has huge potential because is in a denomination with a lot of history, with an indigenous variety, mainly Garganega and Trebbiano, has a strong identity also in the market because has been one of the first white wine exported outside of Italy, so in particular in the US and Germany, a long time ago. So has a lot of point that can makes this zone, this wine, potentially very successful. Not less important, I want to say, is a white wine, indigenous variety, not very high in level in alcohol, which is in this moment probably makes this wine very modern and very attractive, and very authentic, again, because geographically the area is delimited, so you can visit it, it's not so large expanded, and also in terms of tourists is very attractive because the town of Soave is a medieval town, so it's also in terms of tourists very well accepted.
Andrea, could you please tell us more about Soave Classico wine zone area, the present life challenges?
In terms of denomination, total denomination cover around 6,500 hectares of lands. But if you consider just the Classico zone, it's just 1,500, so pretty small part of the total amount of the Soave area. It's the only one denomination in Italy where Classico is, for more than 90, probably 5%, is on the hill, and the not Classico is mostly on the flat. So the first big distinguish is extremely important because give exactly the idea that the viticulture can be not the same. In the flat area, the production can be much higher. Generous production means also lighter character, light and taste. On the opposite side, in the Classico zone, where the hills are mostly with volcanically soil origin, give wine with more minerality, more character, and more opportunity to be also longevity wine.
Okay, thank you very much. And it's a well-known fact that such Pieropan wines as Soave Classico, Calvarino, La Rocca, the first allocation wine, Le Colombare, are really popular among wine lovers. Andrea, what makes them stand out in Soave Classico, in your opinion?
There are really many reasons that makes a great imagine and a great reputation of the Pieropan wines. I think what is now well recognized is the job done from my father in the past and continues with me and my brother Dario not only to makes good wine, but also makes wine that are really authentic expression of the territory and variety. I give you an example. Okay, there are many ways to make good wines, but I think that my father has done on a journey that is very distinguished. So he never introduced, for example, international variety permitted in the Soave Classico until 30%. He's never done wine with a lot of level of alcohol, which was very popular 20 years ago also in Italy. Soave with 13.5, 14 alcohol, because there was general opinion that more alcohol, more quality, and then better price probably. But my father never done like this. So Calvarino has been always 12.5. Soave Classico has been always 12 in alcohol, and La Rocca maximum 13. The choice of the distinguished also the two wines since the beginning, Calvarino with the use of the cement, not because the market want particularly wine fermented and aged in the cement, but to keep the minerality and the crispy character that Calvarino has from the volcanically soil. At the same time, the using of the barrel for La Rocca in a period where nobody, 1978, was taking care that Garganega grapes could be a white wine that can age and mature on oak. So he did because he was truly believed that was the best way to get the best quality of these grapes from this specific soil that in the case of La Rocca is not volcanic reason, but is clay calcareous soil. So the reason, in my opinion, because the Pieropan's wine are very well recognized and very well appreciated is because my father has been always very currency. So he never done something because the market wanted, but he tried to create a model and a philosophy of winemaking that was truly respectable of the territory and the variety that we produce. And I think now the consumer recognize this and in such long terms becomes an example of what should be the area.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And the next question is, it's really worth mentioning that these wines are made from a white grape variety known as Garganega, which is the main white variety for Soave wine zone. Andrea, how easy or difficult is it to work with this grape variety? And please more about the potential of aging of Garganega.
As variety is not a particularly complicated grape because it's quite resistant in terms of viticulture. It's not so difficult to manage the Garganega grape, honestly. In the past, more than now, probably, the difficulty was to get the same attention from the consumer about this grape. So the difficult was that the comparison with more important varieties as Chardonnay, as Sauvignon, reduced the opportunity to show the potential of Garganega because for many, many years, most of the people was convinced that there was a Premier League varieties grapes and a second league, and Garganega was definitely in the second league. So makes an important project with and a grape as Garganega was more difficult than makes the same project with more noble, if we can consider it, grapes. So it was more the approach than the real job. In terms of potential of aging, I think that Pieropan is showing pretty well how Garganega from Calvarino and La Rocca in particular ages splendidly well. We have a lot of clients that are serving in the fine dining places, older vintages of Calvarino, La Rocca. Recently, we started also on a project dedicated to my father that is called Collezione Vini dell'Anima, which means collection of wine of soul. We have started with Calvarino 5, which was a blend of 5 vintages of Calvarino matured for more than 10 years in the cellar, and then blended together to do the celebration of the new winery, the Leonildo Pieropan Winery, recently opened. And this year we will continue with other 2 Collezioni Vini dell'Anima, which are Calvarino 15 and La Rocca 15, two wines aged for more than 10 years in the cellar, not in the bottle as the old vintages that we have, but in the cellar mean in cement for Calvarino and in the barrel for La Rocca, and released 10 years later to give an idea to the consumer how age Garganega grapes, and Trebbiano in the case of Calvarino, from Pieropan. It's a great example and is a project dedicated to my father because when my father passed in April 2018, a friend journalist called Giancarlo Gariglio dedicated a beautiful article to him, and he said that I vini di Leonildo, the wine of Leonildo, sono vini dell'anima, or wine of soul. We appreciated much this name, and then we decided to start this project dedicated to our father with those older vintages.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Andrea. And I would like to remind our listeners that Pieropan Winery and the wine La Rocca Vintage 2023 made it into the world top 100 wines according to a highly influential wine critic, James Suckling. Again, our congratulations, Andrea. And that is why I think it's a victory for Garganega grape variety. Yeah, it's really great. And the next question is, Pieropan Winery is not only known for Soave classical wines, but also for its wines produced in Valpolicella wine zone. Your family went to, I would say, Valpolicella adventure in 2000s. Andrea, could you please tell us about the distinct differences between these two wine zones and the wine styles, I would say? How is Valpolicella doing now?
Valpolicella in this moment is suffering a bit, probably the competition with other wines, probably the decreasing of the consuming of the red wine, also including Valpolicella. In general speaking, in fact, the production per hectare has been reduced in the last year and will be reduced also this year, which could be also positive for some way. In our case, the production of our 20 hectares that we have in Valpolicella, in Val di Lasi, is not large, so we are not suffering much at this moment because it's very artisanal production. And is a production of just two reds. One is Valpolicella Superiore Ruberpan, the other one is the Amarone. So we don't make any ripasso, we don't make any appassimento, any other product. So it's extremely simple. A part of the character of those wine, as the white, is coming from the great connection with the territory where it comes from. The grapes that makes this wine are cultivated in a hill that started at 300 meters and get up to 500 meters of sea level. So very high altitude, very extreme altitude in a very clay calcareous soil. The microclimate that we have is very unique and marks extremely in a unique way in the wines. What mean that we have a day very warm and night very cold because on the back of this hill there is the Lessini mountain, so the air breeze and refresh the vines during the night, and during the day we have a very warm temperature. This gap of temperature get the opportunity for the bunches to have a lot of flavor, and the ripening of the fruit is never burned from the sun. I mean that we don't have any jammy marmalade character, but the fruit remain much more crunchy, much more fresh. And then we have a style very unique in some way. The choice also to not filter the wine, to use only the indigenous variety, and to not make any malolactic fermentation, which is very unusual for the red wine, is also very distinguished from the rest. Makes two reds very gastronomic and very friendly to be drinked again with the food.
Thank you very much. And for me, Valpolicella is really a wine of the history, and it's a wine of conception, a wine of the style, because it's really indigenous grape varieties that are used, and these are grape varieties suited for appassimenta, a technique where the slow drying of the grapes shape their organoleptic character, and it's really the difference. And Valpolicella is always a blend, and when winemakers are divided into traditionalists and innovators, and you just explained that your wine style is more gastronomic, and for me it's really so thank you very much. And I would like to know one more thing. 3 weeks ago there was a huge event, Amarone Opera Prima, where new Amarone Vintage 2021 was presented to the public. Andrea, could you please give your perspective on this new Vintage 2021?
Actually, I'm not presenting Opera Wine because I'm not part of the consortium, but and I'm still selling the 2019, which is finishing so soon. I will move to the 2020. In any case, 2021, generically speaking, in the north of Italy and also the central part of Italy, has been one of the best vintages that we never had. So 2021, I remind extremely well, has been the season that every growers want to have every year, because we had got a wonderful spring, quite rainy and humid, which in my opinion is great, because it makes the natural water and the ground to support the summer in the best condition. And summer has been hot, but never extreme as, for example, 2022. So, and a real summer, but again, we don't need 40 degrees to make our special vintages. It's enough 30, 32, 33 degrees. And what happened in 2021 has been a wonderful September, which is the month most important to finalize the season. And in 2021, we had got a beautiful September, very dry and sunny, but with night very cold and also dry. So this gap of temperature in between day and night, I remind perfectly on my hill, arrive also to be 20 degrees different in few nights between day and night, which get on a wonderful phenolic maturation 1 week before the picking, which complete perfectly the maturation of the grape. So I personally wasn't there. I didn't taste it much 2021 except my 2021 in the cellar, but I think really we are in the front of one of the top vintages of the last 20 years.
Thank you very much. It's really useful information. Andrea, you just mentioned that you are not a part of the consortium. Could you tell us why? Of course, if it's not a confidential information.
Pieropan has been the only one winery never be part of the consortium, even if we continues to make DOC wine, and then we continues to be outside of the consortium. It's also true that in the last years, now I'm talking about Soave more than Valpolicella, which I know less. A lot of things has been changed, but for many years, with the system that was on working, was technically not possible to change anything. Right now, we are talking about a significantly change inside the consortium of the distribution of the votes. When this will be happen, when this will be possible, then the participation can have a significantly importance. You easily understand that if you are part of a consortium, but your votes are in any case in a minoral part of the group, you cannot never change the things. If this system will change, and then even every single vote can be important, then we can write another chapter of the story.
Okay, Andrea, thank you very much. Yeah, your position is really clear. Thank you. And the next one is Valpolicella is known for its outstanding reds. It's a fact. But recently, your brother Dario has launched the project on the production of sparkling wine, known as Chess Spumante Rosé. Moreover, I should say I was lucky enough to try it myself. when I was at the winery, and I should say my taste buds were really happy. And the question is, why did Dario make up his mind to start producing this sparkling wine? Tell us more, please.
It was the 2006. We had got an agent in Verona that was distributing our wines. It was not just an agent because the father was our agent and the son became our agent in Verona too. So it was a family of agent who was representing Pieropan in Verona, and he was also distributing Krug in Verona. And he was asking us, since we bought the land in Valpolicella, to make some rosé, a sparkling rosé. Because unfortunately he passed very in advance, he had got a problem with the heart, and then immediately we lost him. My brother Dario decided to dedicate this sparkling rosé to him. This was the reason because we started to make the sparkling rosé from Valpolicella's land. This was the emotional reason and the soul reason. Technically, this choice is supported pretty well because, as I mentioned, the viticulture there is in altitude, and there we have the optimum condition to have a good pH of the juice to do a sparkling rosé. At the same time, is a perfectly product because it closes in a circle, because we don't do a regular Valpolicella. So what we do from the land is we select the best bunches for the Amarone, and then we go back to the vineyard to pick the fruit that is a little bit unripe. And this is very useful because what remain is again a top selection for the Valpolicella. So in this way, we can, if you want, in approachable, very sustainable, use all the grapes of the vineyard for them best occasion. So the top one for the Amarone, at the same time the top one for the rosé, because you don't need grapes too much ripe to make a rosé if you want to have a naturally good acidity, and the rest of Valpolicella. In fact, also for the dedication of this person, is an Ababo rosé that is not modified from us. So his sugar, his alcohol, and his pH and his acidity is 100% natural in this sense.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's really dedication wine. Thank you. Thank you very much. A question regarding your plans for the coming years. You mentioned in the first part of the interview that you are working with the Pinot Nero and Riesling. I'm sure you have a clear vision for the Pinot Nero and Riesling you aim to produce. Could you tell us, please, more about your intentions for these plantings?
Riesling is something that is much more on board because I planted the vineyard and it was the first day of COVID. It was the beginning of March 2020. So we have already done two picking, and it's a vineyard planted in the north part again of the Valpolicella's land. And is if you want, it's like a bit a deja vu. Why? Because Pieropan was producing a Riesling many years ago. We stopped at the beginning of the 1980s because the plant became too old and was not enough production to make some wine. But the old people from Verona remind a dry white wine called Riesling Italico, sold in the period between 60s and 70s. So it's a coming back because it's again a dedication to my father, because it was a variety that he liked a lot. When he had the opportunity to drink a white wine outside of the region, outside of the country, he often chose the Riesling. And again, for this reason, because it was a part of the Pieropan history since the past. Don't forget one point, that Veneto region where we are was Austrian until 1870. So the reason of the glass bottle that we are using, the Riesling part of the cultivation of the vineyard, come from this old historically reason. And because Pieropan is an historically estate, has this history to share with the people. And So since it was not anymore possible to plant Riesling in Soave because with the global changing, the climate, the summer too warm, too long, I think there was no the condition to do the same project in Soave. But there, at this situation in the north side of this hill, there are the conditions to reply again this project. And then we started. It's a very small production, maturation in the barrel. I think the first vintage will be released next year. And about Pinot Nero, it's really baby. We planted the vines this last January, so I don't have necessarily an idea and a real idea, but I think was important for us since we choose to not mix a regular Valpolicella, has another red wine from the same land, and Pinot Nero, in terms of microclimate, could give us an important result in this area. So it's a variety as Riesling, where the elegance and the finesse is a part of the character. And I think those characteristics are a part of the DNA of the Pieropan's wine. So the choice of those varieties, apart from the historical reason, apart from the Pinot Nero for the style, are in some way representing well what Pieropan wants to produce and want to communicate it.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrea. So we are waiting for the first vintage. One more. Are there any maybe benchmark examples of Pinot Noir or Riesling that inspire personally you? And maybe could you please tell us and share the producer, country, or region?
I think you will be not satisfied because we don't have it. We don't have it yet because I think what is important first is understand what your territory can give you and try to get the best from this. This is a challenge that we have done also with Valpolicella and Amarone, and to be more coherency with what we do. If we start with the idea to copy someone, I think we will do a mistake. What we want is truly understand what is the potential of the territory in the two wines, and for sure in a version extremely elegant and fine, because it's not a part of our philosophy. Bodybuilding wine makes our own expression.
Thank you very much. And the last question, Andrea, you are a board advisor of the Italian Federation of Independent Winemakers. By the way, first, we should mention that it was your father, Leonildo Pieropan, with his friends, who founded this Federation of Independent Winemakers in 2008. Why it was founded? What was the reason?
The reason comes from a journey that I have done my father with other growers in Montpellier. It was an exhibition of the Vignaioli Indipendenti of France called Vigneron d'Apendin. And when they went back, they were so enthusiastic of the idea and the character and the distinguished characteristic that they have this association comparing the rest, that they say, we have to do our Vignaioli Indipendenti also in Italy. And this is what it happened. So they came back with the helping of Slow Wine with Carlin Petrini. They created this association and they start to write the rules to be part of this association. It means vertical producers, no cooperative, the profit must be the only one from the viticulture. You cannot be owner of something else and have the winery. So several rules, and from there the association started. From no one, the association now counts more than 1,800 members. My father was a father founder with Peter Di Poli, Pelio Bucci, Costantino Scherer, and Cerutti from Moscato. The idea was and is represented all those growers that are not represented or they weren't represented, because now we have the representation in Rome and also in Brussels after 20 years. And they are a part of important of this world that is the wine world, because it will be silly, it will be strange, but in Brussels was represented already the big bottlers, Cinzano, Campari, the big lobbies, but who cultivated the land, so who cannot move from where it born, from where has the vineyard, was not represented. So this was very important and created also a synergy between different growers from any part of the Europe, France, Germany, Spain, and other small countries, to get the opportunity to have a voice in Brussels when they talk about agricultural subject. I give you just one example of what is the sense of the association, which doesn't want to say that the Fivi wines are better than the wine from not Fivi, but we're telling you that there is an ethic approach of the cultivation of the grapes and producing of the wine that you can see in the website through the rules that has been written, and is very clear. But also want to fight the all points that goes against an artisanal production of the wine. Give you again an example. 15 years ago, more or less, if I don't do mistake, there was the opportunity in Brussels to blend to obtain the rosé between the blend of white and red wine. It was obviously an economic points to reduce the cost and makes more profit. This became not possible, so it still must be done by maturation of the skin, because the growers together say no, we are not agree, and the maturation of the bunches must be the only one way to obtain the rosé wine. So this is the approach, this is the battle that the growers as PV do and continues to make it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And maybe you can tell us what are the key challenges you are currently facing nowadays at that time.
There are many points in Brussels talking about the reducing of the contribution because a lot of money went to the armament instead of the agriculture. The distribution of those resources must be done in an equally way, and to be done for who is really guaranteed that this money will be invested in the territory. Because if I am a bottler, today I'm bottling the wine here, but tomorrow I can be in another country. We cannot do that. We do the job where we have the vineyard, and we give job at the people around where we are. We have done a research inside of the association. We are representing wine that for more than 80% come from the hill or mountain areas. So what means that our contribution is not just making grapes, but is also preserving the land where we live from erosion, inundation, or other things. We want to have the recognize of a rule of custodi del territorio. So we want to have from the government the recognizable of our job and as custodi del territorio, who mean watcher of the territory. So give us the opportunity to be recognized by legislation.
Thank you very much. I see there's a lot of problems to be solved. And one more question. Everyone is talking now about the global warming. Does it concern you at the moment?
The global climate change is real. We don't have much solution in this. The only one point that we can do is the prevention. Again, custodi del territorio can be a key. So have people that manage the land, respecting the land, is in a way to preserve the territory, because the climate change makes more catastrophic phenomenon, which don't mean necessarily too much water, mean that if it's raining a lot, and then we have a drying for a long period. So there is not one solution in this sense, and we cannot in the long terms think to change this. But I think if there are people that can manage in a certain way in a difficult situation, or just the people that live in the territory. So give them the opportunity to preserve the land is an opportunity that must be considered, in my opinion. Obviously, that if everything is done by economically, people move the viticulture from the hill to the flat because it's cheaper, it's more economically, it's less risk, it's safer, it's easier. Then if all those politic action goes in this direction, we cannot be surprised if we will lose hills, we will have catastrophic damage that we cannot control anymore. So the policy have to understand that we don't just cultivate grapes, but we manage and we keep safe the land where we are.
Andrea, thank you very much. So let's preserve a land, let's respect the land, let's respect each other. I would really like to say thank you very much for the interview. Moreover, for the 2 parts of the interview, for your time, for sharing your stories so generously. Thank you very much. I'm really happy and hope to see and to visit your winery one more time. Thank you very much.
Grazie a te, questo lo dico in italiano, vi aspetto volentieri presso la cantina Leonildo Pieropan e anche, perché no, per una notte in Villa Cipolla a Tregnago presso la nostra dimora rurale.
Thank you, and ciao. And I would like to thank you, Marta, your assistant. I would like to thank Rosa, Beatrice, the best moderator ever.
Thank you so much, Ekaterina and Andrea. That was a wonderful second part of your interview. And for those who haven't listened, the first one, you can already listen to it on our Spotify Italian Wine Podcast. So to wrap things up, once again, for those who are interested to participate, just send us a DM through our Instagram or mail our Italian Wine Podcast producers at info@italianwinepodcast.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening in. Thank you so much again, Ekaterina and Andrea, for the time that you have spent with us. It was really wonderful. And that's a wrap. So, ciao.
Ciao a tutti.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.